Hey, what's up y'all? I'm back with another series of still images pasted together in order to give the illusion of animation. In my latest video, I briefly discussed 3 different raids that I would personally recommend you run in order to make some easy gold, especially with the increased transmog drop rates combined with other items obtainable throughout the raids, and I felt as if one of the raids in question could have been explored even further, specifically Molten Core. See, Molten Core is a sleeper gold mine with the Collector's Bounty, as the increased drop chance of the Eye of Sulfuron as well as the bindings of the Windseeker means that the demand for items required to craft necessary pieces in order to obtain the 2 weapons has gone through the roof, leading to enormous price hikes for trade goods added to the game over 2 decades ago. In this video, I'm going to be going over the items that have exploded in value, where to farm them, and what you can expect while farming Molten Core during the Collector's Bounty event. That all being said, let's just get right into the video. If you aren't familiar with the Collector's Bounty event somehow, it's a brand new world event spanning the length of the month that has seen increased drop rates for items such as mounts, pets, legendaries, and even several toys throughout a number of different instances throughout the World of Warcraft. For the sake of this video, we are primarily going to be focusing on the legendaries that drop from the Molten Core raid, being the Eye of Sulfuron as well as the 2 bindings of the Windseeker. The bindings of the Windseeker have a chance to drop from Gar and Baron Geddon respectively, with a significantly increased drop chance during the Collector's Bounty event at around 9% for each of them, and the Eye of Sulfuron has a chance to drop from Ragnaros at around an 8% drop rate during the event, meaning that you should have no issues acquiring them if you want it. That being said, however, it's not Thunder Fury or Sulfuron that we're after, but the items in between that are required to create the 2 legendary weapons. See, in order to obtain both of the items, there is a whole shopping list of trade goods and other items that one will have to obtain in order to receive them, and that is what we will be focusing on in this video. Now that you have a little bit of an understanding of what we're going to be farming, as well as why we're going to be farming them, we can really get into how we can make a small fortune off of the Molten Core legendaries during the Collector's Bounty event. First and foremost, I want to cover the items required to craft Sulfuron's Hand of Ragnaros and how to farm them. The most important piece of the puzzle for obtaining the legendary mace is the plans for the Sulfuron hammer, which typically sees listings for anywhere between 100,000 and 200,000 gold at any given time on my server, which is a staggering number. Obtaining the recipe, however, is actually quite simple, only requiring a single Sulfuron ingot. Once you obtain a Sulfuron ingot, you're going to turn it in to Lockthos Dark Bargainer at the Grim Guzzler, and upon completion, you will have the plans. That being said, while the hefty price tag attached to the plans may seem enticing, the actual Sulfuron hammer tends to list between 300,000 and 400,000 gold at any given time in my realm, meaning that, at least personally, the recipe may be more worthwhile learning as opposed to selling, seeing as I can easily make more money offloading the hammers as opposed to trying to sell the pattern that the average player may or may not have a hard time obtaining, seeing as Sulfuron ingots do not typically list for crazy amounts of gold. To craft the Sulfuron hammer, one is going to need dark iron bars, which are easily farmable in the Molten Core instance. Farming the ore is pretty simple, involving running into the instance, mining all of the nodes, and leaving without killing any of the bosses so that you may be able to reset the instance and all of the dark iron nodes with it. Dark iron is currently selling for around 12 to 14 gold each at the time of recording this video, so I personally wouldn't recommend selling it yet, unless of course you intend on crafting it into bars and then into other resources. Arcanite bars are another required resource for crafting the hammer and are seeing regular lists for between 250 and 300 gold at the time of making this video, which is significantly lower than historically, so it may unironically be a good time to pick some up if you're into bag holding. That's definitely on you though. The last notable crafting reagent for the Sulfuron hammer is of course the Blood of the Mountain, which is currently listing for a staggering 4,000 gold at the time of writing the script for this video. You know that the economy is in shambles when a trade good added to the game 2 decades ago is seeing prices higher than any current expansion material, but hey, get your money up, not your funny up, as they say. Other than all the items I mentioned earlier, there isn't anything else significantly important that I would worry about farming as far as the Sulfuron hammer goes, which means we can begin to get into our Thunder Fury material farming. Farming the materials for Thunder Fury is pretty similar to that of the Sulfuron hammer, except most of the farm is actually going to be in Blackwing Lair as opposed to Molten Core. The money that surrounds Thunder Fury is almost entirely in enchanted Elementium bars, a legendary quality trade good that you're able to learn how to smelt by killing the Blackwing Master Technician in the Blackwing Lair instance. While crafting a single bar can be quite expensive, requiring 10 Arcanite bars in order to craft, the payoff is pretty major, seeing as enchanted Elementium bars are currently listing for between 2,500 and 3,000 gold at any given time across US realms, which, while not nearly as high as the typical 5,000 to 6,000 gold, is still a pretty decent sum of gold for the amount of effort required. In order to craft the bars, however, you're going to need to acquire Elementium ingots, which are farmable in the Blackwing layer instance from Blackwing technicians at around a 5 to 10% drop chance. Now, while it may appear at first glance that you may have a hard time farming them, you're actually going to be able to kill them multiple times per lockout. For this, I would recommend farming the instance on a mage for invisibility. You're going to want to pull the packs of mobs around the room and simply cast Arcane Explosion in order to cleave all of the mobs around the room. The spellcasters are immune to all magic damage, meaning that you will remain in combat with each of the packs. Upon casting Invisibility, the packs will respawn, meaning that you'll be able to kill more technicians than intended for easy gold farming. That being said, however, it is important to note that only the first 62 Blackwing technicians are lootable for whatever reason, and after you've killed 62, you'll have to change characters. It's a good thing you have a ton of alts though. While I can't quite put a gold per hour rate on this farm, it's definitely still worth doing, seeing as the market for these trade goods is extremely lucrative with the Collector's Bounty event. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. The Collector's Bounty event has been fantastic so far, making for some of the freest and mostest easiest gold that I've ever been able to acquire in over a decade of playing. The increased drop rates for the Molten Core Legendaries especially has proven to be lucrative, as the prices for the goods required for players to acquire them are incredibly high as they always have been, with the added bonus of significantly more demand. I still intend on making even more videos around farming gold with the Collector's Bounty event, so if that's something you may or may not be interested in, I definitely would recommend subscribing since I'm super chill, have a clean jumper, and a heart of gold. Like I've been saying in all of my videos for the past year or so, my guild, The Guy, is currently recruiting real and true human enjoyers for solo content, as well as guild activities such as posting up in largely populated areas, as well as remaining nonchalant during high pressure situations, persisting through LFR wipes, and wasting everyone's time by dying after flying solo for many minutes, and summoning new, low-level players out into the middle of the Azerothian wilderness where they will never be seen again. And if you'd like to join, feel free to join my Discord or shoot Bonesaw or I a message in-game so that we can deliberate on your acceptance. Lastly, I have officially joined social media, so feel free to follow me on Twitter or X or whatever it's called nowadays, since I'm on there every now and then. Anyways, that all being said, as always, peace.